Second speaker, Jerry Brown. Have you ever wondered why we have problems getting and staying invested in the stock market? Jerry will present a powerful tool that will help us with the why, when, and how to stay invested through all the ups and downs of the stock market. The speech title is Steady Gains, the Power of Dollar Cost Averaging in Turbulent Markets. And with that, would you please help me welcome Jerry Brown.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, friends, and guests. Again, my name is Jerry Brown, and I want to talk to you a little bit about something. You notice how the stock market ends up going a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, a little bit up, a little bit down. It's very crazy. It can be very volatile and quite turbulent. Well, I know of a tool that we can use to be able to help smooth out those gains and give us confidence and not have us so much fear in the markets. And that tool is called dollar cost averaging. What's dollar cost averaging, you say? Well, I'll tell you. It is the ability to put a set amount of money in the stock market, or any market, but we're going to focus on the stock market at a set time. Let's say $50, $100, $200, $500, but it's that same dollar amount no matter if the stock market is going up or whether it's going down. And there are very good advantages to be able to do something just like that. Why? A lot of it is psychological. That we're worried that the stock market is going to go down. We'll say, oh, I'm not going to put any money in. I'll just wait. You don't want to wait. One of the things we talk about, we know about the what of dollar cost averaging. Let's talk a little about the why of dollar cost averaging. You ever heard this term, sell in May and go away? I've heard that term quite a bit. It's a bit of humor, it's a little bit of folk wisdom, but I wouldn't pay much attention to it. Did you know that this past May, the stock market went up nearly 5%, the S&P 500, which is an index of about 500 different large companies, and mostly almost exclusively in the United States, but they have global presence. Some people say, oh, don't worry about that. However, I think it's very important that we do worry about that. Why? Because this May was one of the best Mays of the past 30 years. Now, we couldn't have known that in advance, but you want to be able to stay invested, and that is very important for us. J.P. Morgan Chase's private bank put out a report about missing days in the stock market and how valuable it is to avoid missing those days. For example, over the past 20 years, the stock market has returned about 10% on average. But if you take out the 10 best days, that return will be cut nearly in half to about 6%. Now, we can't know in advance. We have to continue to stay invested, and we have to have the confidence to avoid that fear, avoid that fluctuation, and consistently stay invested. And we talked about the why. Let's talk about the when. When do we use this dollar cost averaging? Right now. It is very important that we do that. Why? Because we don't know. Have you ever heard the term, don't catch a falling knife when it comes to the stock market? Some people say that, and it makes you fearful. I don't want you to be fearful. It turns out that Nobel laureate and bookworm, New York Times best-selling author, Robert Shiller, wrote this book about irrational exuberance. I thought it was very interesting, and what I want you to focus on is the stock market over long periods of time. Did you know that over 20-year rolling periods from the late 1800s to about the mid-2020s, the U.S. stock market and the S&P 500 has never lost money? I find that to be amazing. Now, you'll see in shorter time periods it's lost money. Over 1 year, it's lost quite a bit of money. One time, I'm thinking back in March of 2009, during the Great Recession, not to be confused with the Great Depression, it lost over half its value, and people were running for the hills. The reason I was able to stay invested during that crazy time. I didn't know that March 2009 was going to be the low of that period. It's because I was implementing dollar cost averaging myself. Now, that helped give me confidence that I was doing the right thing at the right time because it was automated. We talked about the what is dollar cost averaging? We talked about the why of dollar cost averaging. We talked about the when of dollar cost averaging. Now let's talk a little about the how. How do we do this? Well, there are a handful of ways that we can do this. One of the ways is to obtain a mutual fund. That mutual fund will most likely be able to pull money out of your checking account on periodic intervals, say every couple of weeks, twice a month. That is very important as well because it gives you confidence that you're going to make the right decision when that stock market is turbulating and moving, and it's quite crazy. Another thing that you can do is to get a brokerage account. For example, you'll have E-Trade, powered by Morgan Stanley. You'll have Fidelity. You'll have Vanguard. There are a few other brokerages that you can use, and they will help you put that money in the stock market at regular times, perhaps with an ETF. One of the final ways, and there are many other ways, but one other way is through your job. A lot of us have jobs that offer 401ks. It's a retirement vehicle. Well, they will be able to extract money at regular intervals with your paycheck and put it in the market during the good times as well as the bad. In conclusion, I want you guys to make sure to don't let turbulence frighten you into doing nothing. Take charge of your financial future. Thank you so very much.